Hi guys, well here we are, it's the end of July, so 31st of July, evening of, and I am in Gulnare Inlet next to Whitsunday Island. What a difference. The wind is not to be felt, the water is calm. Man, I'm gonna sleep tonight. Yeah, it's been pretty intense up there in Shore Island. Not that that was a bad anchorage, but yeah, this one's sort of deep into it's not a fjord, but yeah, it's got hills both sides, and they're across the wind, so the wind's not sort of coming down into here so much. The water is smooth as, so hey. So yes, I worked out this morning that I needed to leave around about lunchtime because I needed to get to this part of the world in just when the tide was changing. So I rode the outgoing tide. Yes, I had the tide with me today. Yay, for a change. And boy, man, if I hadn't had it with me, it would have been hell on wheels out there. It was blowing, as it's been blowing for days, and I believe the forecast is giving us about a 1 knot decrease every day in the wind speed, so it's going to take a little while still, but anyway. So anyway, I left Shore Island at around about 11ish, I think it was. The tide here was due to change around about 2:45, I think, and a knowledgeable friend of mine basically advised me that I should wait at a public mooring off Henning Island, just outside this inlet, until the tide was right, because it's coming in here is very shallow. So there's a nice depression here where I'm anchored, which means it's about 4 meters deep, whereas coming in it was like about maybe 2, bit more actually, because I'm 1.9 draft, so yeah, it was touchy coming through some of it, but the timing was perfect. And of course you always come in here you ride the tide in and you ride the tide out, otherwise you'll be fighting for it. So anyway, it was a very hectic trip. I passed by Lindeman Island. I spotted once again the Club Med. I was going to go in a bit closer, but the conditions really weren't very nice at all, so I thought, yeah, that's close enough. Just nice to see where you've been in the past, even though it's closed down now. And yeah, basically rode with the wind behind me on half the jib, coming all the way down between Denning Island and Hamilton Island. So I went right past Hamilton Island, the airport and everything. I had to keep clear of the runway because, of course, if your mast is a certain height, you have to maintain a certain distance from the runway. Otherwise, aircraft come along and trim the top off, and you need your wind vane, all right? It's just, yeah, nothing to be said about that. So I got up to around about 8 knots across the ground at some points. The waves and stuff were pretty intense. I did some good surfing. It was pretty exciting, and it made for a very quick trip. So anyway, without me carrying on too much more, let's have a look at what happened today. Oh, by the way, I've just included some snippets from videos I took while I was holed up at Shore Island. So, yeah, don't worry, you haven't been watching the wrong one. So, yeah, they follow now. Hi, folks. It's Sunday, the 28th of July, and I'm now in... where am I now? I'm in Shore Island. I left Thomas Island this morning. Basically the wind is forecast to come right up, which it did quite early actually, and it's been chopping along pretty vigorously all day. So I left at about 11ish, 10 to 11, just on the jib, so it was only about just under a 2-hour sail. So yeah, headed out basically down the channel, and yeah, I soon felt the wind. I was going along about 6 knots or so with just the jib up. I had the wind sort of following on my quarter, so it was a nice broad reach, so quite a good pace. It chopped up quite vigorously, so I did some surfing, and yeah, it was a pretty exciting sail. It was just under 2 hours for me to get here. This just looked more protected against the wind that's coming, so I thought this might be a better place, and there's a few other boats here as well, obviously thinking the same thing. So we're all just sitting there hunkered down in the bay. It's a beautiful bay, but yeah, nobody's going ashore or anything because the wind is just whipping through here. It's funny, I can see Lindeman Island behind me across the channel, and the old Club Med, which is derelict, I believe. Yeah, I went there many years ago, so maybe when I leave here I'll do a close sail by as I can to have a look at it. Maybe if I land on the other side of Lindeman, I believe there is a path that goes across, so I might even take an opportunity to do that. Just be quite interesting to see somewhere that was alive and kicking years ago when you went there. It's probably better not to, but anyway, this is how today looked. So that's Lindeman Island, and I'm just zooming in now on the old Club Med. Yeah, it all looks quite familiar, how it was laid out and everything. It's always hard on video to convey how the conditions really are. I've had to cut the noise out, and that's part of the whole show, really. The wind whistling around the place and the waves crashing. Yeah, they slap against the side of the boat sometimes, and it feels like you've hit something. But because the tide's pulling you one way, the wind's pushing you another way. So, yeah, great times. But just imagine not being in this shelter. It's pretty intense weather, and it barely lets up at all. Once again, you can see the waves and stuff coming through. It's such a pretty place, though. I mean, now the sky's blue, the water's turquoise, beaches are golden, but yeah, everybody just hunkered down in their boat because that wind is pretty intense, as I've said. It's also got quite a chill factor to it as well. Good morning. It's Monday the 29th of July, 2024. Yeah, I didn't get much sleep last night. You can probably hear the racket out there. If not, lucky. It's been very windy, which is why I came here in the first place, because it's supposedly one of the better shelters for a southeasterly of 25 knots and over. So yeah, here on Shore Island, I didn't sleep much, and around 5 o'clock ish, my anchor alarm started going off, and yeah, sure enough, my anchor was dragging. So yeah, which is fun in the dark. So as I was luckily drifting away from other boats and also the shore, so I had a bit of time to get my act together. So yeah, in the dark, I basically pulled up the anchor as far as the top of the chain, basically, because of course I went into very deep water after that. The tide was high, which I think by mistake I didn't let out enough anchor cable. You can never let out too much when it's this kind of weather. So, yeah, live and learn. I sort of knew that, but I thought I had left out enough, but au contraire. And so I basically motored around in the dark, hoping that everybody did have their mooring lights on, because it was very hard to see anything, and basically reset myself, dropped the anchor in the right depth, let out a heck of a lot of cable, and here we still are. So far so good. It's going towards low tide now, so should be fine. Be watching again at high tide just to make sure that it's all good. Probably going to be here for a little while because this wind doesn't show any signs of going down in the forecast that I have. So yeah, interesting. It's a beautiful spot, but yeah, we're all just hunkered down in our boats basically. It's not cold, unless you're standing in the wind. You got that wind chill factor no matter what it is. So yeah, here we sit, try and catch up with some stuff inside, and see when it changes. Anyway, this is what happened today. Well, red sky in the morning. That's never a good sign, is it? Whether you're a sailor or a shepherd. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 30th of July, and I am still here in Shaw Island, and the wind is still howling. I got a better night's sleep last night, although I woke a few times when it was really howling. You can sort of hear it coming off the hills, basically. It's like an express train coming, and you just lie there and go, okay, here it comes. And the boat does its thing and goes all over the place. And then we press on. You can hear it now, and I hope you can hear me. But yeah, I think I'm going to stay put here and for the duration. The forecast I have doesn't show it letting up for the next few days even, so must be serious. So we're right across the country at the moment. Anyway, let's see what the day brings, and video wise probably it won't be a whole lot, but if there is, you'll be the first to see it. As much as I try on video to show what it's like, it just doesn't look very intense here at all, as it does in real life. But yeah, so these are the other guys hunkered down. It looks like there's a line across the sky basically, and luckily the blue is coming towards us. Yeah, look at this. This is just incredible. Well, here I am, day 3 at Shaw Island. So that makes it Wednesday, the 31st of July. And as you can probably hear, the wind is still blowing. So, yeah, a long time to be sitting here. Yeah, let's just take a look outside. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't look very inviting, but it's funny that, I mean, the sun comes out a little bit and I thought, oh, it could be a nice day if it was just for that wind. But anyway, just been chatting with a friend, and apparently there is a place just north of Hamilton Island, Gulnare Inlet on Whitsunday Island, which is one of the best anchorages around. So I may hightail it down there, up there, downwind from here, so that's why I'm saying down. Yeah, apparently it's got all-round best protection, so I think that might be today's plan, as this is getting a little bit old. Anyway, more to come. On my way again, Lindeman Island and out into the channel, where I'm headed. Okay, well into the channel now, passing Lindeman. Can't remember the name of this one, and excuse the finger. Got half the jib out basically, can't see that very well from here, and still we're pushing along at an amazing pace. Rain up ahead makes it look a bit bleak. The scenery would be amazing in better weather, but yeah, you know, another time. Heading for a channel which is just in between those the headland and those hills there, which will take us past Hamilton Island and Denning Island. Looking back here makes it feel like I'm in the middle of the Atlantic or something. Yeah, pretty intense swell coming through. Basically you feel them, because I'm looking forward all the time, obviously. You can just feel them and react to them. Amazing looking islands. Would love to see them under the sun. But we're nearly in the channel entrance. Obviously the wind has given us a really good lift. Just entering the channel now, and the waves are piling up a bit, but soon we'll be in the calm. Excuse my finger once again, very hard to do this one-handed. Yeah, you can see the trough. Yeah, once we pass this point up ahead here, we should leave the waves behind. And here we have Hamilton Island Airport and Hamilton Island itself. Hey, yeah, it's still Wednesday the 31st of July, and I'm here at the moment at the top of Denning Island. So basically today so far I left Shore Island, sailed past Lindeman, and saw the old Club Med, which I went to many years ago. The buildings all look okay, but yeah, from a distance, but obviously derelict. I assume they're all fenced off. Didn't get close enough. Conditions were very exciting coming down. I literally was coming down on one half of my jib only, with the current with me, which is why I timed it when I did. Yeah, I was coming down. I hit 8 knots a couple of times, basically surfing down the waves. So pretty exciting. It was quite nice to finally get into the channel along Hamilton Island. Went right past there, right past the airport, had a couple of flights land over the top of me. Taking care, of course, to stay away from the airport as far as possible, because your mast height dictates how close you can get to the runway, which stands to reason. Anyway, I am here on a public mooring at the top of Denning Island. I'm waiting for the tide to be right to go up Gulnare Inlet, because it is quite shallow at the opening, and I've got a draft of 1.9 meters. Well, the boat does. And so, yeah, I got to wait until I can get in. I came up this early because I wanted to ride that tide coming up, which was very good. For once it was in my favor. I think you've seen me mention a few times, I always get to these tidal places just as they're against me, but I could not afford to have that happen with the wind going the other way at that strength. The sea would have been abysmal. So anyway, so the tide should now have turned probably about an hour or so ago. I'm sitting on a public mooring, as I said, just opposite the entrance to Gulnare Inlet. I might give it, actually I'll probably get going fairly shortly. It's nearly 3:45. By the time I get my act together, it's probably going to be about 4:30 by the time I start going into the actual channel. So yeah, let's see how this goes. This is Henning Island, and I am on that public mooring over there, which really, it's quite sheltered here. It's surprising. It's just slightly around the corner of the wind, and it is ripping through here there, but yeah, you probably can't really make it out. Making my way into Gulnare Inlet, and yeah, heart in mouth, eye on depth sounder. So far so good. Well, what a relief. Look how peaceful this looks. And it is. Look at this, flat calm water. A few other boats here. There's a trench basically of deeper water where we all are sitting over. So of course when the tide goes out again, we'll all be okay, but we'll have to wait for a higher tide before we can get out. Small price to pay, and Hamilton Island's just across there. Thank you for watching another Fast Forward to Queensland video. As always, don't forget to like, comment on YouTube and subscribe to Dawn Radar.